Today we geek out about Hero Master, an epic game of epic fails. Hey guys, this is Lee with Geek City USA here, and today we're going to talk about a game by Jamie Noble-Frier and published by the Noble artist called Hero Master, an epic game of epic fails. Now in this tongue-in-cheek, hilarious game, you are going to be essentially going on quests, trying to defeat monsters in Snooze Haven, and bungle your opponents so that way you end up with all the loot and all the treasure and they end up with as little as possible. So I'm going to take you over here. I'll give you a brief overview on how the game is played, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my thoughts on the game. Alright, so this is Hero Master, an epic game of epic fails. And I'll show you right here. There is the cover of the instructions here. And let me start by saying that this is a prototype copy of the game, but holy cow, is this a cool, high quality prototype. I mean, these boards are absolutely solid. In fact, let me reach around here and grab one from the box. I mean, these are really thick quality. So I would imagine come the final version that this game is going to look great. Also, the art on this game, and that's one thing that I'll show you guys here specifically, the art is fantastic. If you look here, everything has some flavor text, which is hilarious. Leaf Tickle picked up the sword. This is an elven heirloom. It must be kept within my kin. Then picked up a sandwich. This is also an elven heirloom. It must be kept within my kin. So I mean, just silly, fun, one-liner stuff. Sword that's broken. Very tongue-in-cheek. Very much. If you have a Monty Python sense of humor, I think you'll find a lot of this stuff funny. At least I did. So anyway, there is a good amount going on in this game visually. I won't be able to cover all of the rules, but I just want to give a really quick, high-level overview on the gameplay. So the purpose of this game is you are going to locations and you are fighting monsters. And as you are fighting these monsters, you're collecting loot and treasure. And at the end of the game, the person with the most amount of treasure wins. Everybody starts with $3. And as you kill monsters, if you see here, a monster is going to have a value on it. It's going to have a treasure. So that 1 would mean if you defeated this monster, you would get to take a treasure from the location. And this 3 here means that you would get 3 gold, which, you know, factors into victory points at the end of the game. So when you play, whoever is the party leader, and that's denoted by this icon here, or this token here, is going to select 2 locations, and then they're going to pick which one of the 2 locations they want to go to. And if you look here, these locations will say the number of treasures that are going to be at a location, how much money's at the location. This is something that the party leader gets, so when the party leader picks this, they can refresh a hero card for 1 gold each. And then this here is, as long as it's in play, everybody will get these. So that's what this icon means, as long as it's in play. Each time you play a bungle card, take 1 gold from the loot pile. And this is if there's a critical fail. Whenever a critical fail is rolled, restock the loot pile. So this is an example of a location card. So let's say we've selected this location. Up here as well, we'll show you how many monsters you need to draw from the monster deck to put into onto the location board. So in this case it was 3, so we put 3, 1, 2, 3. Now also, before I get ahead of myself, there are 4 different races and 4 different classes, and here are the ones I set up, just a random setup here, but here are the other 2 races. You have humans and halflings, and here are 2 other classes. You have a priest and a barbarian. Now the ones we have here, I have an elf wizard and a dwarf rogue. That was just set out randomly. And what you'll do is you'll take the decks that correlate to both the race and the race and the class, and you'll shuffle them together to make your action deck. And then out of that you will draw, to start, 6 cards, but that can change as the game goes on. So you have a card counter here that says how many cards you may have in your hand at a time. So then back to the location board. So the party leader is going to pick what monster that they're going to want to face. Let's say they want to face this guy here, and they'll just move it over, and you'll want to look based on what cards you have, how you think you'll do against this monster. So just a little bit of an idea. So this is the number that you have to roll or higher on a d20 in order to break this monster's armor, and then you need to have your action card be able to meet or exceed one of these. This is regular damage, fire damage, ice damage, and spirit damage. And if you can break that, then you would defeat the monster. At the same time, you're going to roll a d20 for the monster, and if they break your armor, which is going to be denoted by whatever armor card you have currently assigned to your character, if they roll equal to or higher than that, they break your armor, and then they will do this many damage to you. And this here says if they do damage, exhaust a hero card. So, you know, like I said, there's a lot of different things going on here. I'm not going to go into the minutia of the rules, but let's just give a quick example of play. So let's say here that I, as the wizard, I'm the party leader. I pick the gigantic spider. So I will go through my hand here of what I have. And let's say that I want to, well, I can play, let's just say I'll play this teleport card in my first action. Now what this lets me do is this is going to give me a +2 to my 20 roll, and this gives me +2 to break their regular damage, right? So I can play this card. When I play this, if it has this icon, it gives you something that you can do immediately. Not going to really go into that right now as far as what this is, but just know that when you see this icon, you get to do this here. So I would play this card, and then you would give your opponent an opportunity to play a card. Now I just set 2 cards out here real quick for illustration. So let's say this character is going to play this card, the Loot of Loot, and they would play that in their attack, and then you can choose to play more cards. Now, these cards that you have in your hand, you will use on your entire location. So if you use all 6 cards to fight this first monster, you're not going to have any cards left to fight these other monsters. So just something to keep in mind. So you need to be selective of what you're going to play. So I could, in turn, choose to you know, play another attack card here. And then the opponent will play an attack card. And now here's where the things get really interesting, is you have these cards called Bungle Cards. Now let me look for a fun Bungle card. So in this case, this is a Portly. I can play this on my opponent. You can't lead with a Bungle card. You have to play an action card first, but you can play this on your opponent. So in this case, I would play this on any one of the action cards that they have already played. And this would give them a -1, in this case, to regular damage. And this would change their critical roll to 8 or lower. So just to give you an example, if you ever roll a 1 when you're rolling to attack, that's a critical fail. However, if you play this Bungle card now, an 8 becomes the critical fail. So 8 and under is a critical fail. And if you roll a critical fail card, you draw one of these cards, and these are bad, typically, or it's not going to be good stuff for you. So I could say play this on this card, you know, and then your opponent can choose to play some more cards or not. And then I can say, let's say I want to play this critical fail card as well, and I can put that there. Now, once all of that's laid out, you're going to go ahead and, you know, let's say we've all passed. They didn't play any bungles on me, frankly, because I don't have room on the board. But then what you'll do is you'll figure out how you want to augment to attack. So in this case, I need to roll a 12 or higher to break the armor. And my attack here, I'm just using regular attack on this first attack, which is just a +2. So I need to break 3. So what I can do is I can say, well, I have this Staff of Inner Fire here, which gives me a +2. So I'm going to add that to this. And that should do. So now you're going to roll both d20. And this is yours, and this is for the monster. So you're trying to roll higher than the monster's armor, and the monster's trying to roll equal to or higher than your armor. So you would roll both, and in this case, I rolled a 10. Now I need a 12 to break this armor, but if you see here, this gives me a +2. So this 10 is actually a 12. So I have gone ahead and I have broken the armor, and now I need 3 or more regular damage. And in this case, I did 4. So I have defeated this, but, and this is a big but, this monster rolled a 12. So I will still take damage. And if you look here, I have a defense of 6. So their 12 roll has, you know, it's broken through my armor. So now I'm going to take 2 wounds from the gigantic spider. So we'll just knock that down too. And it also says web, you know, an after effect is if this attack hits, I have to exhaust a hero card. So I'd flip one of my hero cards. Now when you exhaust a hero card, you may not use those again until, it says here, you can use any time allowed, and it's refreshed when a card says. So this is going to remain exhausted for future locations until something lets me unexhaust that. Now, however, my weapon cards that I use, like I added this Staff of Inner Fire to this fight, that is now exhausted, but that's only exhausted until the next battle, or the next location rather, not the next battle. So these cards are going to get cleared off, but you see here, the gigantic spider gave me the choice of 2 treasures and 2 gold. So I can take 2 gold out of the loot pile, add it to my supply here, and then I get to pick 2 treasures. So I could take whatever 2 treasures I want based on maybe what monsters are coming up. Maybe I want these 2 cards. I would add them to my current hand of wherever I put it here. Here it is. No, that's not right. I would add it to my hand of cards. Oh, that's right, I played them all. So I can add these 2 cards and they go into your hand, so you can use them for the remainder of the battles here. So it's good for you to be able to take treasure from here because it kind of keeps you going and ramps you up a little bit and also helps you to bungle your opponents more. After you finish that battle, now one thing to think, by the way, is if, let's say we defeated this monster as well. This one has $4 and 2 treasure. So these 2 treasures, let's say whoever defeated this guy took this treasure and $4. So let's just say 3, 4. Now, whoever defeats the Orc Warrior here, see how this would give you 3 gold and 1 treasure? There's no more treasure. So it's, and you, fortunately here, you'd still be able to take some money. But that's why it's definitely good to go through and, you kind of want to go out at the beginning to fight for that loot, because the loot, the money and the treasure is going to be what helps you to win the game. So once you finish, once you defeat whoever is in this position, if you have a guy with an ambush, you would add him here. An ambush is just basically, it's a secondary attack that might happen if the first attack is successful from the monster, that is. So then the person who's the party leader can pick which monster that they want to face next, and then you continue on. Once you finish your battles at that location, you'll go through, you'll clear off your boards, obviously. You'll draw 2 more locations, and then you'll pick one to fight, you'll discard the other, and you will continue on. Now, you're going to continue until you get to the Dragon's Den, which is shuffled randomly with the 3 bottom cards. Now, if you go to the Dragon's Den, you are going to face Crackletooth the Dragon. And this is basically the final big boss fight. And after this fight, whoever has the most loot, or the most gold rather, is going to be the winner of the game. Now, I glossed over a whole lot. I mean, there's also these cards here. And what these are is these are protest cards. So for the person who has the least amount of gold and going to a location, they may draw one. And it's it's a nice little catch-up mechanism that helps you to catch up. So high-level overview of how the game plays. Now I'll take you back up top and give you our thoughts on the game. All right, guys, that was Hero Master, an epic game of epic fails. Now, I'll start by saying that it was a prototype copy of the game, but that was a great looking prototype. The component quality was very well done. The card quality was good. The art on the game is phenomenal. So while I'll say that you'll want to check out what the final product is going to be like, if it's anything like that pre-production copy, the game final output will be fantastic. Now, at its core, the gameplay of this game is very simple. You're going to pick a location. Once you pick a location, you're going to pick a monster, if you're the party leader, that you want to face, and you want to essentially outperform your opponent. You want to be the one that kills that monster, so that way you can get all the loot and all the treasure. But at the same time, you're going to be bungling each other. So you're going to basically be playing take that, and whenever your opponent plays a card, you're going to probably play a card to try to oust them either as a party leader or, I don't know, help them so they don't beat the monster, so that way you get all that treasure and glory for yourself. Now, I think this is a game that is accessible by all sorts of players, but I will say that if you have any background in any kind of RPG, a D&D style game, or a Descent or Dungeon Crawl, Gloomhaven, something like that, the game is going to resonate with you that much more because there's so much tongue-in-cheek commentary that you can relate to having played those kind of games. On top of that, the sense of humor in this game is fantastic. I grew up with Monty Python, and there is so much tongue-in-cheek humor with this game that I loved the humor to the game. In fact, that is what drew me to this game. I saw this game as it was being designed 8 months ago, and I was so captivated by the humor and really the art and everything on the game that I was really interested in it. I was dying to play this game, and I was really fortunate to get a chance to do so. Now, in the prototype that I had, there were 4 races and 4 classes, which makes for a lot of replayability because there's a lot of different combinations that you can have. And on top of that, you never know what locations you're going to pull, you never know what monsters you're going to pull, and of course, you don't know what treasure you're going to get. And so that definitely lends there to be a lot of replayability to the game. So all in all, there's a fun theme, the art is phenomenal, and I love the tongue-in-cheek humor. So if you're a fan of any of those things, I would definitely recommend you go check out this game to see if it's something that would interest you. All right, guys, that's it. I'm Lee with Geek City USA. Thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure to subscribe if you don't already. Comment down below if you have any questions. Also, reach out to us on social media. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook and Twitter, and we love to interact with you guys out there. So definitely reach out to us, and we'd love to get to know you guys. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you guys next time.